Now, the next question, Ed, is from someone you and I both met a few days ago, and that is Joe.
Hi, Ed and George. It's Jo here from Deloitte. Thanks for attending our UK growth event in Manchester on Tuesday. They say a week is a long time in politics, but in only 48 hours since we saw you, a general election has been called. Our event this week focused on the debate and collective actions we need to take to get UK growth back up to 2.5%, including bringing government, academia and private sectors together. My question is, after attending our event, do you feel more confident we will get there, regardless of who wins the election on 4th of July?
Well, it was a really good event, wasn't it? That you and I both attended. This was in Manchester, and Deloitte had brought together at the Manchester Business School all sorts of people from the private sector in Manchester, from local government, from the different parts of the Manchester community, and the mayor for Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, came on to speak after us. So congratulations, everyone who organised that event. The kind of question we were asked at the time is, could you get the UK growth rate back up to sort of 2.5%, which is what it would have been in the couple of decades before the financial crash. And since then, it's been more like 1.5%. And we both observed that wasn't just a UK phenomenon, although there are some specific UK problems, but that's something that lots of Western democracies have struggled with. I don't feel, I'm afraid, Joe, that that this general election, I don't feel is going to sort of shine an amazing spotlight on this issue and illuminate all the things that the British government's going to have to do over the next few years to make the British economy stronger. I suspect that the election campaign is going to be, I'm afraid, a bit less highbrow than our conversation in Manchester.
We sat on a train and we go up the West Coast Main Line and we went through Wilmslow, and George turned to me and said, "This train stops at Wilmslow because of me." This was an important contribution he made as the local member of Parliament. We had time to discuss it though, because the train was then 35 minutes late arriving into Manchester because of problems on the track. So by that time, George was fulminating about HS2 and the decision not to go ahead with it. We then went on to this discussion in Manchester, and I suppose my answer to Joe is that I am willing to be a bit more optimistic for two reasons. One is that I think getting back to 2.5% is really hard, kind of growth rates we had in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, but it's been much slower in recent years following the financial crisis. But on the one hand, we've had these massive, big global events, the pandemic, the financial crisis, had Brexit too, war in Europe. If there is a prospect of some more stability in the global economy in the next years, it's possible to have a better economic growth record than we've seen in the last 10 or 15 years. And who knows whether that will happen. But 3 once-in-a-generation events in 15 years seems a bit tough. So let's hope we're not going to have a fourth. But the other reason is, I think there is a consensus now across the Conservative and the Labour parties to come around local, regional economic leadership in partnership with the centre to drive growth based around elected mayors and combined authority, something that George introduced in Greater Manchester, something which has become cross-party in its support. And so if whoever wins the election really gets behind that agenda and gives it more oomph and motivation, then I think progress can be made. And so I left our Manchester event feeling more optimistic.
Yeah, there was a bit of a sense that the Northern Powerhouse is back, which I'm very much in favour of.